In this video, we're going to go over the 280ZX dash center plate installation. You can see it here. It's made from 063 aluminum, and this one is with the radio delete, but we also have an option where you can get a cutout for a single din. You can see down here, it has a cutout. This is designed to work with our aluminum center console that we make for the 280ZX. If you try to use this plate with a factory console, it will still fit, but it'll stop in front of this and you'll be left with a gap. So we're going to go over some of the hardware and how this gets put together. So this might look familiar to you. This is the factory piece that comes in your 280ZX. This one's been modified a little bit, but there's a couple little plastic covers that go on the sides. You pull those off, and then ultimately you pull this out by a couple screws on the top and in the bottom. Let me turn this to the side. Ours is already loose, but 2 bolts will go in there, and there's 2 down here, and that's how it actually installs in the car. You'll take those out. You want to keep them because you'll reuse them. And so there's a handful of screws that normally are in here. There's 2 here, there's 1 here, same thing on the other side. You'll unscrew those, and then this piece comes out. You're going to want to keep this because we're replacing this piece here. And so once you have this piece out, we're going to fit it into this, and then I'm going to show you how this hardware ties it all together. So we're going to take this factory interior bracket and we're going to put it inside of our dash center panel. So we're going to drop it in here like this, and we can kind of see here on these slotted holes right back here, they're going to line up with this hole here. You'll kind of notice that if you look down on the top here, that this flange has a little bit of a space in there. And in addition to that, down in here, we have a space as well, because on the factory piece of plastic, there's some plastic standoffs. And we've done a few things to counter that on this. So one of the things is an all metal lock nut. So with a lock nut, you don't have to squish it all the way tight to ensure that it stays tight. So we'll be able to tighten this up until it's nice and snug, but we don't actually need to crush this tab. So we're going to take the shorter M6 screw, with this fender washer. We're going to slide that in. We're going to take our M6 all metal lock nut, thread that on. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Just a little bit to hold it together. Then as you look down here, we have some rotation. Down here we have a gap where that standoff was, so we're going to use some of our longer machine screws. Again, we're still going to use a washer, but on the inside we're going to use our 1/2-inch aluminum spacers. So we're going to slide the washer on, and then as it goes through the center panel, we're going to put the spacer in there, and then we are going to line that up through this hole here. Put the nut on the inside. Then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And at this point, what I like to do is I like to set it into the car, and kind of line up your bracket to ensure that your height is right. Because with the slotted holes on the side, this has some play to move up and down, so you can slide this in relation to this back piece up to make sure that's butted up against the bottom of the dash. And you can make sure that it's centered, so that way it wraps around your Skillard aluminum center console and looks really clean. And so once I've kind of got that situated and get an idea where I'm going to get that lined up, then I'll come back through and I'll tighten these. And so when I tighten these up, I'm going to tighten them snug but I'm not going to smash this to take this gap out. I don't want it to be loose so it rattles, but I want it nice and snug, and the all-metal lock nut's going to keep it in that position, and so you don't have to worry about crushing this gap and possibly bending your panel. Same thing with this one on with the inside for the spacer. You're just looking to get it snug. You don't want to over tighten these. You just want to make sure that it's nice and snug so it stays quiet. You don't get any rattles, and it's a nice quiet piece once you get it installed. So that's the main configuration on how you're going to want to do that. If there is a single din cutout, it's going to be up towards the top, and so the back of your head unit's going to stick back here. This piece, even though it's far more rigid than the factory plastic, it's still not designed to support the whole weight of your head unit. So you'll need to put some kind of strapping or something from the back of it down to your support piece to hold the back of your stereo in place if you decide to go that route. And then after you've got all this snugged back in, you're basically going to slide this back into your 280ZX. You're going to put hand tight your screws here, your screws down here. Do the same thing on the other side, and then you'll go ahead and you'll tighten this into position, and you'll be ready to go. The little plastic lower panels that go on the factory one you won't replace. This drops this back down, or this drops this down to eliminate those pieces. We also make a driver side and a passenger side dash lower panel that you can put on either side of this that you can look for in another video, and it's real clean and ties in really well with this piece. These are available from Skillard.com.